Is it like around like the 80 to 100 point where a lot of that stuff starts to happen?
Yeah, I would say there's a gentleman in the Canadian tech ecosystem named Dan Shimmerman, who was the CEO and founder of a company called Verisent, and he told me that at 100 employees, your company is very different than it was at 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, because the 100th person that joins your company expects to be joining an established company with established processes, from onboarding to hierarchical leadership to the way strategy is communicated. Um, and they don't want to show up with their own laptop. They don't want to figure out what they're responsible to do. They want kind of direction and leadership. And I think it's an arbitrary number. I think there's some correlation to Dunbar's number, which is the number of personal relationships one individual can have at scale, and that's when I think it starts to deteriorate for a leader. But 100%, it happens. And for me, that one of the hardest things was I think dealing with my ego, and ego being the fact that I wanted to be involved in everything, and I wanted to be a part of every story. And I had hired executives with more experience in the broad industry of scaling companies than I, but with less experience in the category we were building and developing. And so there was this, potential conflict that almost occurred between me and some of these new leaders who wanted the flexibility to go and execute on their terms, but potentially felt afraid to do so because I was critical of their execution based on my expectations and based on my understanding of what they were capable of. But in reflection, they were probably doing things their own way. And so I had to mature really quickly if I was ultimately going to be able to work with that type and that level of executive. And I had to start removing myself from the process. Of course, eventually I hired a leader, and I removed myself completely from that process and entrusted them with the efforts and capability of scaling our go-to-market function. But unfortunately, it didn't work. And so then I had to reinsert myself and understand what was going wrong, and ultimately make some hard decisions there. But there's always been this push and pull, I think, of providing the materials, the landscape, the information, et cetera, to allow somebody to execute, and then figure out where you as a leader or manager need to ultimately insert yourself to optimize the process and help someone avoid the mistakes that you may have made, but also let them learn on their own so that they can improve inside of your market and inside of your opportunity.